Good morning. It is 8:50 a.m. on Sunday, February 21st, 2020. Beginning of February, I attempted to apply for a job in a food service establishment. I went through the process. I understood I was hired. I had to go through a process of onboarding. I had to go through a process of online training. I also had to go through a day of training on site. And after I did this, electronic accounts were set up, number of electronic accounts. I had to go through the process of certification. I went to do the training on site at the store location and let them know that day that there were some problems with my electronic accounts while I was there on site. And they discussed that with me, and I discussed that with them. Among the things that was the problem is that right after the training, including with three other people, two of whom had the same kind of job I did, there was no schedule for me. The others actually had schedules that they could get to take with them to leave the store with. I did not have any schedule available. They said there must be some problem with processing your paperwork, which is not true. All of the accounts associated with my identity were already set up, and all of the trainings, including trainings that could have taken a more protracted period of time, had already been completed, and I'd received the necessary certifications and the confirmations on those certifications that were part of the job requirement. But what did happen that day is apparently there was some litigation involving the parent company that had been transpiring while the actual governor of Texas was on site in the state of in Dallas. The governor of Texas just came to Dallas that day for some reason. In addition to that, that day there was alleged to be a incident involving Chevron, a gas and oil facility that ended up leaking gas and oil into the San Francisco Bay. It was a terrorist attack. And what they did is they put me through a process where I went through a at-home online training, and they used the electronic accounts that were set up with my identity to give other people access to means by which to launder money and finance that act of terrorism as well as other crimes that are still ongoing. I contacted them the day before and said something happened over the weekend. And the biometric identifier account that was set up on me last week is completely different today than it was last week when I was doing the trainings. I don't know what you're talking about. This organization is a very large, multinational organization. It is based out of Dallas. Out of Austin. According to its corporate website, it's based out of Austin. It is a organization that has multiple chains, including chains it acquired of Whole Foods and organic food stores around the country in several years. I was not able to go through with working the shifts that I did end up being able to arrange to have assigned to me after that because they were doing simulations around the safety of chemicals on site. They were engaged in completely racialized scenarios where people who were identified as being from an island off of Western Africa were leaving chemical cleaners and sanitizers right there in the public next to the door where somebody could pick it up and walk away with it after talking about, last week somebody just walked out with a cart full of food and nobody stopped them. That was what they were doing the day there was a terrorist attack in San Francisco. Now, this is the third time in less than 13 months I have tried to get a job with an establishment involved with food safety, where the people on site engage in completely racist behaviors. That you have to go through a process of reading documentation and acknowledging that there are requirements of the job, including concerning safety, and safety data sheets, those SDSs, and including in connection with PPE, like the fact that the organization would give you an apron that you're supposed to wear as PPE. That apron is not apparel. According to them, that apron is PPE. So if I'm on site and you're simulating a situation or actually engaging in intentional reckless around chemicals and I have to leave because it's unsafe for me to be there, I'm not taking my PPE with me so you can say I stole PPE from your organization, especially after you insist on continuing to discuss how I'm an employee and then overnight decide you're going to terminate my account. That's what it says right now. My account is terminated. Now they're trying to correspond with me on email as if there's an employment problem and they want to negotiate with me. I'm sorry, our legal team is not at your, this is what they said. Our legal team is not here at your disposal. I've apprised them of everything they need to know. They were recently acquired by Amazon. Now, if they had a problem with Amazon, they have no right to use somebody that was an entry-level position as a substitute or swap out in an effort to sabotage whatever it is they might have as some sort of workers' rights claim against the parent organization. We're talking about chemical weapons. It is completely ridiculous to pretend they did not know. It's in what you're required to acknowledge. You already studied and you already were informed of. They're trying to do some legal paperwork you have to initial to absolve themselves of any sort of liability because you were informed up front. I was informed up front of what the standards were. Every day for 4 consecutive days, I tried to go there on site. They engaged the same intentionally reckless, not only reckless, dangerous and illegal scheme. And they wouldn't pretend like I'm the problem. Again, this is the 3rd time in less than 13 months I've tried to get a job that would have had something to do with food safety. And the employers engage in racist, retaliatory, sexist schemes connected to simulations around chemicals that could be used for chemical weapons or that actually are a form of chemical weaponry, and then try to make it into some bullshit workers' rights claim for the other people as if I'm the problem. The point is, if you do not agree to aid us in illegally acquiring, including from our work site, component ingredients for the manufacture of chemical weapons, as well as pretty much anything else that we intend to do that we know is illegal on site, well, then we're going to set up a situation where we're going to give you a background check. We're going to give you a credit check. We're going to make you go through a process of certification to open up another electronic account with the state of Texas in your name with a barcode. I don't even have an email address with them with my name on it. They gave me another code. I am not your Nazi war bond. You do not get to treat me like your Holocaust victim so you can get some sort of credit on another black market. This is not acceptable. I need to speak with the attorneys for Whole Foods as soon as possible. Every single effort I have made in Austin in good faith to try to deal with this has not only been obstructed, but has been sabotaged. If the leadership at Whole Foods agreed to conspire with the state of Texas to orchestrate a terrorist attack on San Francisco and then try to use this manipulation that they're going on with right now connected to the so-called energy grid, when what they're doing is aiding and abetting further acts of terrorism by the gas and oil sector, including in connection with former governors and with other people that allege to be in public office, then you need to know you're financing acts of state-sponsored terrorism, and you're not allowed to play games with terrorists that infiltrated Congress and say, this is how your employees vest. I've terrorized them. That mean middle-aged white woman, just like it was depicted in our training materials, terrorized us. So we have the right to set up electronic accounts on her identity. And we have the right to steal from her as part of our compensation because she terrorized us. No. That's not what this is. Get it straight. I need to speak with the attorneys from Whole Foods before close of business on February 23rd, 2021. If it gets to the morning of February 24th, after you guys have co-conspired with the state of Virginia retirement system in order to commit pension fraud involving the Texas retirement system benefits as laundered through and in conjunction with Chevron, then you're going to have to deal with the full consequences of the implications. There is way too much. There is way too much documentation. There is way too much already established as fact regarding this conspiracy for people that continue to play around like it's some little piddly-ass workers' comp claim and then pretend like I'm the problem. Are there justifiable problems with worker safety? Absolutely. But this is no time to play into some racial charade that you can put it on me. And then once you put it on me, you can just go through the process of year after year after year, setting up things that end up accruing into the moment we're in now. I'm sorry. You should not have played around with hiring me when you already knew what that background check revealed and then think that you were going to go through this process and get anything except a conviction around terrorism.